Brad Williams, Excel Prime, and I'm a firm believer of always taking the path of least resistance. Here we have a VLOOKUP function in a couple of varieties. One, well, I think is overkill. The other one is my way of doing things. If you look, we have golfer, we have a bunch of IDs, we have columns. We're going to look at one set of IDs and match it to another set of IDs. Here we have golfer 2. We have this overextended VLOOKUP using a column. Then we have the common sense approach using just the VLOOKUP as it is. Why use this other method? Well, maybe that's your style. If this is your style, you get the same answers. Hit F9. We have clay. We have a golfer ID. Where's the commonality here? We have golfer ID. Golfer ID. Just think of this as a database, and we need to match 444 with this data over here. All we're doing is saying VLOOKUP, C5, golfer ID. What's our range? H5. Over here, H5, I19. We need to find this column. Column, whatever this is. And if you look here, it's going to go column index, F9, going to be 2. Isn't that kind of a long and arduous way of saying, can't I do the exact same thing here and just go C5, lookup value, table array, which is going to be this golfer information, and that's in column 2. Isn't this just a mirror of this without going through this column deal? If you're keen on the column and the rows, then incorporate it. Otherwise, go the path of least resistance and use this method. Here, our anatomy. I'm looking at the VLOOKUP. Here we have the lookup array, table, column, and range. And now again, this column, either you can force it, this is the forced method, or you can use just your intuition and say, well, it's column 2. I need the golfer. That's it. Over here, we're going to see this extended method, this column, and there's nothing wrong with this. This is just simply column. We're going to look at columns. We're going to count all the columns, and then we're going to subtract it by 3 in order to get 2. We have the write-up here, and I'll go over that in a second. And then we have our mapping. You can go through this if you need to. It's pretty self-explanatory. I wrapped this information in this first example in an if-error, and I generally will wrap most stuff in if-error. We have this VLOOKUP without. The analysis to merge lists, you can use the VLOOKUP function to retrieve information from one list and insert it into the other. For this application of the VLOOKUP, both lists must share a common ID. Remember I said, if you're working within a database, there has to be some commonality. And here we have golfer ID, golfer ID. That's the only way this works. The following section explains how to join lists using the VLOOKUP. In this example, golfer is pulled into the golf list using VLOOKUP. Remember golfer 2, golfer 1? That's what we mean by golfer. Both use the identical VLOOKUP formula. VLOOKUP, and I just went through this. There is one exception with this first example. This is a standard exact match VLOOKUP formula. The 0, 0. It's an exact match. Down here, remember? True is 1, 0 is false. Column index is calculated using the column function without any arguments. Notice what I mean by no arguments. We have column that has its parentheses. That means no arguments. Without any arguments, the column function returns a number that corresponds to the current column. In other words, if we just go equals column, equals COLUMN, what's that going to give us? Probably 5. Well, we have 5. And then we have this other argument, which is minus 3. Well, we have 5 minus 3. Kind of a long way of doing this. We just go 3, and we go equals this minus this. And we get 2, column 2. Remember, I said we have the lookup value right here, 444. Table array over here, standard VLOOKUP, column index. Yeah, it's going to be 2. All right. Do I need to go any further? I don't think so. I want you to work at this, practice this, tear it apart like I just did. And if you're confused, just go back and reread this. If you're going to use the standard approach, well, you're going to go as well 1, 2. Otherwise, fool around with this column function, have some fun with it. Bud Williams, XL Prime, thanks for your time.